So I asked Remi Adekoya, an expert in identity politics and a lecturer at the University of York, UK, why separatist movements are gaining momentum in Nigeria.
So the calls for secession are essentially the consequence of the failures of the Nigerian state, or the failures, even more broadly speaking, of the Nigerian project. Insecurity is just one major problem in Nigeria. It's a huge problem, of course, because we're talking about people's lives, and at the end of the day, that is what is most important. But there's massive corruption. Nigerian economy is in shambles. I mean, the unemployment rate officially is at 33%, and so most probably, it's more in the 40s. And so, there's so many problems in the country. Things are simply not working. And, when things are not working, then people start looking for other solutions. And because Nigeria is such an ethnically diverse country, it's a colonial project at the end of the day. People were forced together by the British colonialists a while ago. Then, people come up with, and people have strong ethnic identities in Nigeria. And so people now come up with this solution and say, oh, maybe we'll be better off on our own, since this Nigerian project is clearly not working.
But is that really the solution? And how viable is that idea even?
Essentially, Nigerians are stuck between a rock and a hard place. There are really no good solutions here. Continue with the Nigerian project. Apart from hope, what other realistic proof do we have or evidence do we have to suggest that the Nigerian project can work? It hasn't really worked since 1960. And there's nothing on the ground to suggest that anything is going to change anytime soon, because the problems in the country are so deep-rooted. But of course, the question then becomes, what's the alternative? Okay, do we split up? If we split up, how exactly would that work? Like you say, there's so many ethnic groups in Nigeria, it could really be messy and it could end up in bloody conflict. And obviously, nobody wants that. Nobody wants a Congo-like scenario. We've seen what happened in Congo, and up till today, the country hasn't been able to put itself back together. And so there's no good solutions here, to be honest with you. It's the job of a politician to inspire hope in people, to give people hope. But it's the job of a political analyst like myself to give people reality. And the reality is that there are no good solutions. We can only hope for the least bad solutions.
Well, here's a suggestion from many of the Nigerian elites. They're asking for restructuring, basically. They're saying that let's just try out radical federalism. Do you think it's worth a shot?
It is worth a shot, like you say. Since, in the first republic in Nigeria, in the early independence years, there was, it was a strongly sort of a federal, a regionalized system. And essentially, the regions were not doing too badly. And so there was significant development at the time. And so it is worth a shot, definitely. I mean, it's better than escalating into a bloody conflict. It is worth a shot. Can
the Nigerian government keep the country united by cracking down on people like Sunday Igboho and Kanu?
So the Nigerian government cannot keep the country united by cracking down on dissidents. But the decision-making process of the people running the country looks in this way. They think to themselves, okay, what are our alternatives? Do we sit back and let these secessionists gain support, which they are doing, as we see? Their message is becoming more and more popular. More and more people are saying, yes, we need to break up the Nigerian state. Or do we crack down on them forcefully? And their option, they go for the second option and say, look, the only way we actually keep this thing together is by cracking down on them forcefully. Fine, we may not bring real unity, but at least we may prevent the country from breaking up. And so again, they too, if we're being honest about it, are in between a rock and a hard place. And they too have no good solutions on the table for them, really. So they've chosen the second option, which at least will sort of maintain some sort of order for the short term.
What is the alternative to secession? What is the way forward in your...
So the alternative to secession, like we said, is to try a truly federal system. So a system in which really the regions are given significant powers and enough autonomy to try to be able to forge their own path, while still keeping together some powers at the center and still trying to keep together the Nigerian project. And let's see how that works. We can try that for 10 years and see the results. And, if there's some positive results, then okay, fine, let's continue with it. If there are no positive results, then really keeping together a nation just for the sake of keeping it together, when all we have is the perpetuation of poverty and insecurity, that really doesn't make much sense, to what end?
Remi Adekoya, a lecturer at the University of York and an expert in the politics of identity. That's Africa Matters. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next week.